Welcome back to my Mental Health and Crime channel. My name is Huda London. Please like, share, and subscribe. This is the case of the Idaho, Moscow murders. This happened on the 13th of November. The victims were Kaylees, Madison Morgan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. May they rest in peace. Condolence to the family. This was the first day of the murders, and this is a visual timeline from ABC News. Very accurate.
Look at the case as very complex, and it took more than 6 weeks for a suspect to be arrested. We pieced together information from a case affidavit released by authorities, verified publicly available evidence, and pulled in ABC News reporting to create a visual timeline outlining significant events in this case. I'm Emmanuel Saliba, a senior reporter with ABC News. It's around 9 p.m. local time on Saturday, November 12th in Moscow, Idaho. According to an affidavit released by authorities, Xana Kernodle and her boyfriend Ethan Chapin are seen hanging out at the Sigma Chi house. It's about a 5-minute walk from their off-campus house on King Road. Xana's roommates Kaylee Gonsalves and Madison Mogan are at the Corner Club. It's a historic sports bar in town. They stay at the bar for about 3 hours, according to an affidavit released by authorities. And around 1:30 a.m., Kaylee and Maddie leave the corner bar. The next available images we have of them are in this surveillance footage obtained by ABC News. They're heading towards a local food truck, which is about a 6-minute walk from the bar. Police say this man with them is not a suspect. This is the grub truck. They had been streaming live on Twitch.
Kaylee asked Maddie, like, what did you tell Adam? Maddie said, I told him everything. Adam was the ex-roommate of Kaylee Gonsalves, his boyfriend, Jack D., and he works in the corner club that they just came from. This was just literally 2-3 hours before these poor students were slandered to death. So what could have Maddie told Adam? It's always very important to start a case from the beginning. To always go back to the beginning, because that's where all the truth lies. If you remember back in the beginning, there was 2 Jacks that were involved in this case. One is this Jack that is walking with the girls, and we see Jack with the white hoodie, brown jacket, and the black cap. We see the girls here in the circle. That was just a couple of hours before the incident. What I paid attention to and noticed from the beginning is, if you watch the grub truck Twitch clip, notice how occupied Kaylee is with her phone. Now she's smiling and taking pictures, but for the most of the time, she looks very serious. She looks like she's texting somebody, going through her phone. So I wonder, was Kaylee texting Adam, possibly? Maybe to tell Adam not to mention what Maddie told Adam. Is that what got them to trouble that night? Was it something that Adam knew and maybe informed the wrong people, allegedly?
They get picked up by a car service, and about 6 minutes later, they arrive at home on King Road. According to an affidavit, Ethan and Zana are already in the house, along with 2 other roommates. 2:47 a.m. According to police, a phone belonging to the suspect, Brian Koberger, stops connecting to the cell network in nearby Pullman, Washington. This is where he lives and studies criminology as a PhD student at Washington State University. 2:53 a.m. Authorities say a white sedan consistent with a vehicle registered to Koberger is seen traveling towards the highway that connects Pullman and Moscow. It's only about a 10-mile drive between the 2 cities. At 3:29 a.m., surveillance footage obtained by police from the King Road neighborhood captures a white sedan making an initial drive by the victim's house. Authorities say this car will make another 2 passes in the next 30 minutes. It's 4 a.m. According to the affidavit, Zana receives a DoorDash delivery, and a source tells ABC News that the delivery is contactless and the order is left at the front door. A surviving roommate would later tell authorities that around this time, 4 a.m., she wakes up to what sounds like Kaylee playing with her dog in the room on the 3rd floor. She also reports hearing someone say, "There's someone here." 4:04 a.m., authorities say the white sedan is seen driving into the neighborhood a 4th time. 4:12 a.m., according to phone records obtained by police, Zana is awake and using TikTok. The affidavit states that the same surviving roommate says she hears what sounds like crying coming from Zana's room. She opens her door a 2nd time and says she hears a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." At 4:17 a.m., this security camera on a neighbor's home picks up distorted audio of what sounds like voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times. This camera is less than 50 feet from Zana's bedroom. The affidavit states the surviving roommate then opens her door a 3rd time. She sees a masked man walking past her towards the sliding glass door in the kitchen. In frozen shock, she locks her door. 4:20 a.m. Police say the white sedan is seen leaving the neighborhood at a high rate speed. 5:25 a.m. Authorities say that same vehicle is seen on 5 cameras back in the Pullman area, near where the suspect lives. And then, between 9:12 and 9:21 a.m., police say data collected shows the suspect's phone appearing near the scene of the murders. About 8 hours after the killings, a 911 call reports an unconscious person at the scene of the crime. Shortly after, Moscow police discover the bodies of 4 students.
The facts of the case that we know right now.
November 16th, police reveal the 4 victims were stabbed to death.
The 4 were stabbed with a knife, but no weapon has been located at this time.
We are eternally grateful that we spent so much time with him.
This is Ethan's mom on November 30th at a vigil honoring her son and the 3 other victims.
That's the most important message that we have for you and your families, is to make sure that you spend as much time as possible with those people, because time is precious and it's something you can't get back.
We're looking for a 2011 to a 2013 Hyundai Elantra.
December 7th, no suspects have been publicly identified, and Moscow police appeal to the public for help.
Any assistance you can give us, anybody that owns one, anybody that knows of someone who owns one or may have been driving one, if you could get a hold of us through our tip line or call us directly, we'd appreciate that.
December 15th, Koberger and his father are driving eastbound on I-70 when they get pulled over by a Hancock County Sheriff's deputy.
Hello? How you doing? How y'all doing today? Good, good. Take a look at your driver's license real quick if I could. See, he's right up on that van, man. You're right up on the back end of that van. So you're coming from Washington State University, and you're going where? Oh. Oh, Okay.
Yeah. We're slightly much because we've been driving for hours.
Hours, days.
Hours.
They're driving across the country to their family home in Pennsylvania.
Okay. So do me a favor, don't follow too close, okay?
10 minutes later, they are pulled over again, but this time by Indiana State Police. Both departments would later say they had no identifying information on the suspect at the time of these stops or the alleged vehicle involved. The Indiana State Police added in another statement that its agency wasn't directed by the FBI to make the traffic stop. 15 days later, Kohberger is arrested in Pennsylvania. The FBI identified the suspect by linking DNA evidence from the crime scene to a public genealogy database. January 3rd, he is extradited back to Idaho, where he is charged with felony burglary and 4 counts of first-degree murder. In a statement, his extradition lawyer in Pennsylvania said his client was eager to be exonerated. The suspect remains in custody, awaiting his next court appearance in June.
Brian Christopher Kohberger said he was eager to be exonerated from these charges. But yet again, the authorities in Idaho, Moscow, say that they have enough evidence that it was him. But we've heard in the last 2 days that Kohberger says he has an alibi. What really happened in that house? And I always wonder, this is for speculation, entertainment purpose only, but this is strictly speculations. I just wonder if it was an inside job. If somebody inside the house managed to help Kohberger. Because it doesn't make sense for the students not to have called the police immediately, unless they weren't scared of the person. And for them not to be scared of allegedly Brian Kohberger or whoever did this crime, I believe it's either one of the two things. Either they were still in a state of shock, which doesn't sit well for 8 hours, or they could have been on some kind of drugs, allegedly, that made them hallucinate and not believe what they were seeing. For Dylan Mortensen, the surviving roommate, to say bushy eyebrows, Brian Kohberger does have thick eyebrows, but I can point out so many people in Idaho, Moscow, that have thicker eyebrows, bushier eyebrows than Brian Kohberger. I'm not saying that Brian Kohberger hasn't committed this awful crime. Most likely he has, but the question is, who else was involved? Because he's eager to explain where he was, his alibi, and exonerate himself. The big question is, who called 911? I heard it was Hunter, who was actually eating his best friend, and the surviving roommates. Or the surviving roommates, his phone was used to call 911.
Called 911. We're learning that the caller was not repeat, not either of the two roommates who live in the house and apparently slept through the massacre. So the mystery is, who did make that 911 call to police, and how did that person make the gruesome discovery? I spoke with County Prosecutor Bill Thompson.
It's an essential part of the case. Whoever discovered the scene first, whoever initiated the contact with law enforcement is all part of understanding what occurred and the timeline of what occurred.
He told me the two roommates may have critical information.
The investigators are already talking to them and trying to get from them everything they can possibly remember about what they may have seen, what they may have heard, what their activities were, what they know about the activities of their housemates.
A new wrinkle, former LAPD detective Mark Furman, yes, that Mark Furman from the O.J. Simpson trial, now lives in Idaho and is claiming that victim Kaylee Gonsalves had a stalker.
I talked to one student, and I agree with this. It was twice removed from the person that said it, Kaylee. But Kaylee 2 months ago complained about a stalker.
Only when I
This social media video shows all 5 women in the kitchen of the house they shared. We're learning that the killer, for some reason, bypassed the rooms where the 2 young survivors were sleeping.
Their story was they heard partying, they heard noise, but they just, as usual, said, there's partying going on, they locked the door.
Another mystery, where was Kaylee's dog the night of the killings? Why didn't his barking wake everyone up? Autopsies on the 4 students found each had multiple stab wounds. Some had defensive wounds, showing they fought with the attacker. And there was no sexual assault. County Coroner Kathy Mabbutt is describing the murders as personal.
Were they found in beds?
Yes. There were multiple stab wounds. The fatal ones were to the chest area or the upper body area.
The father of Xana Kernodle says her wounds show she fought for her life.
Bruises, maybe hurt by the knife or whatever. She's a tough kid. Whatever she wanted to do, she could do it.
And we're learning that another victim, Madison Mogan, had planned to spend Thanksgiving with the family of her boyfriend, Jake Schreiger. His mother says his world has been turned upside down. There's growing anger over the progress of the investigation in Moscow, Idaho. Madison Mogan's aunt says the lack of information, statements from left field, and lack of outreach to the public to gain information has made this even more painful. On a typical weeknight, Main Street in this small college town is bustling, but not tonight. So many people are fearful over these 4 brutal homicides that many students have left campus and returned home, leaving Moscow, Idaho, a virtual ghost town. University of Idaho student Grace Martin, who lives across the street from the murder scene, as she joined the exodus of students heading home.
Living next to the crime scene, it feels very dark. There's kind of a spirit of death around a bit.
Abigail Spencer, news editor of the campus newspaper, says the lack of information is fueling fear.
They keep saying it's an isolated incident, but if we don't have an idea of who it is, nobody knows what to look out for. No one knows how to keep themselves and their friends and family safe.
County Coroner Kathy Mabbutt is describing the murders as personal.
We have heard that the stabbings and the killings were personal from the coroner. We've also heard from the police that this was a targeted incident. We've heard from the mayor in the beginning that this was a crime of passion. So what exactly happened there? Could Brian Koberg have got help, allegedly? Could Brian Koberg be innocent? And could it be one of the other students? Allegedly? These are just questions I'm asking out loud. I was wondering if somebody was waiting for them at home. Because let's not forget, Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie came home late. Close to 2 a.m. The killings happened 2 hours later. But the 2 surviving roommates came home at 1 o'clock. So what if they opened the door for somebody else to come in, allegedly?
I've been here in Moscow on scene since about 3 p.m. Since I've been here, I've watched Moscow police cars come in and out of this neighborhood, where officials found 4 people dead. Neighbors say they began noticing police cars flood the area around 12 p.m. today. Moscow police say they responded to a call here on King Road for an unconscious individual. Upon further investigation, officials found 4 people dead. While police investigated the scene, the University of Idaho enacted a shelter-in-place alert as university officials reported a homicide near campus. As we've stated, that alert is lifted at this time.
When we look at the house that was targeted, unfortunately, the big white house on the hill, look at how close it is to these 2 other grey houses. I'm sure many people heard the murders. It was this small house, this small grey house on the left, is camera that the dash camera that the police were fortunate to get. The 2 houses are quite close to each other. Even the short grey house. So how come nobody heard any screaming or anything? The barking of the dog? This doesn't make sense. Something doesn't add up. And I'm sure they would have definitely heard Xana Konodulu's room, because Xana's window was only 50 meters from the dash cam.
So police still have this house here near University of Idaho taped off. This right here is where officers found 4 bodies yesterday. We now know the names of those 4 students. They were 20-year-old Ethan Chapin from Conway, Washington, 21-year-old Madison Mogan from Coeur d'Alene, 21-year-old Kaylee Goncalves from Rathdrum, Idaho, and 20-year-old Dana Kernodle from Avondale, Arizona, and they were all University of Idaho students. Here's a breakdown of the timeline from what we know so far. Around 1 p.m., we heard reports of a homicide investigation near the college campus. An hour later, the school put out an alert on social media. It said Moscow PD is investigating a homicide on King Road. They asked the community to stay away from the area and shelter in place as a precaution. Around 3 in the afternoon, Krem2 arrived in Moscow. Neighbors said most people living in this area are a part of U of I Greek life or students. At around 5 in the evening, the Moscow Police Department confirmed they had found 4 people dead, but it wasn't until late last night that they confirmed those victims were students. The university also said Moscow police do not think there's any active threat at the moment as they continue their investigation.
It's strange how there wasn't any proper crime scene outside near the house and near the buildings. Nobody was searched because obviously there was a killer on loose with an edged weapon Just pay attention to these two students, I believe. And pay attention to this gentleman. I just noticed while he was walking, he did not look at the police at all. The girl looks baffled, shocked. But it's just strange that he isn't looking on the other side, like his partner.
4 people dead, but it wasn't until late last night that they confirmed those victims were students. The university also said Moscow police do not think there's any active threat at the moment as they continue their investigation. Classes for University of Idaho students are canceled for the day. They say they will resume classes tomorrow. In Moscow, Nicole Hernandez, KREM 2.
Moscow police responded to King Road for a call about an unconscious person Sunday afternoon. When police arrived, they found the 4 deceased students inside the home. This morning, the city of Moscow and University of Idaho identified all 4 U of I students. Freshman Ethan Chapin of Conway, Washington, was a member of the Sigma Chi fraternity. Zana Kernodle, a junior from Post Falls, was a member of the Pi Beta Phi sorority. Madison Mogan was a senior from Coeur d'Alene, and Kaylee Gonsalves was a senior from Rathdrum.
This is a pretty traumatic situation for our campus community.
Dean of Students Blaine Eccles says news of the suspected homicide shocked the Vandal community.
This is rocking their world. Many of them come from small communities where things like this have never happened.
He says drop-in counseling is available to students at any time. He recognizes that many students have already returned home early for the upcoming holiday.
People need to navigate through this situation in the way that best suits them. If students need to go home, be closer with their families, want to return home, I support them in doing that. We're going to support them in doing that.
Support for U of I goes beyond the university campus. Businesses throughout the city of Moscow are offering prayers and thoughts for the Vandal community. And because Moscow is a tight-knit community with a strong relationship with the university, this response isn't a surprise.
There is a ladder on the right-hand side, the silver and blue ladder. The strange thing is it was lying there from the time the police came. So the question is, was it lying there all night? Has it always been there? Or was it put there on purpose because it was right near Zana Kernodle's window? I don't know if that is dirt or blood. The FBI did not join into this case until the 17th of November, 5 days later. The detectives came to the crime scene after 2 in the afternoon, and the police were called, 911 was called at 11:52. The coroner came to the scene at 5:30 in the evening. And obviously, there were multiple of students at the crime scene before the police was called. Could mistakes have been made? Definitely. Because the crime scene came at 2. 2 hours later, after 911 was called. And 10 hours later, after the murders took place. We keep on hearing that this was a targeted incident. The coroner said that this was personal, the killings, trigger warning, and we heard the mayor saying that this was a crime of passion. What really happened in this house? And why did the girls call Jack D 9 times on the whole? an hour before they were killed. What did Maddie tell Adam?
Response isn't a surprise to Mayor Art Bettich.
I feel very badly for them, and not just for the victims, but everybody else who's a friend and associate with those people.
He told me he was shocked by the news about what he's calling a senseless act of violence.
This is stuff that shouldn't happen, especially in a small, quiet town like Moscow is, where we're heavily involved with the university. And these are things that affect not just town, but the university, the students, lends everybody to a sense of insecurity about what's going on here and why. And it's a very tragic and sad situation all around.
Who was the target? Was it Maddie Mogerson? Or was it Kaylee Congalvis? Kaylee Congalvis came back to Idaho, Moscow to say goodbye to her friends. She's moving to Texas. She got herself a job and she bought herself an expensive car. So I was wondering, whoever did these murders, could it be possible that they had to do it that day because that was the only chance they had that Kaylee Congalvis was there too?
Crime shocking the University of Idaho community. Classes were canceled today and some students have decided to go on Thanksgiving break early.
A lot of people left last night, and then we were like, I know we were like one of the only ones who actually stayed here last night. My mom has called me every single hour for since 7 a.m. this morning. So yeah, they want me to come home if I don't feel safe.
Moscow police have not said much about what exactly happened, but they have released the names of the victims. Two of them, Zana Kernodle, a junior from Post Falls, and Madison Mogan, a senior from Coeur d'Alene, were servers at the Mad Greek restaurant in downtown Moscow. The restaurant posted on Facebook saying the two brought so much joy to the restaurant and all they encountered. Mad Greek is now closed, giving staff time to grieve along with the rest of the community. And the university is planning a vigil for the victims. That's taking place at 5 p.m. on Wednesday on the lawn outside.
Could this be Kim's daughter? I wonder if she heard anything. Because they're the ones who have the DoorDash camera that was given to the police. And I'm sure they gave their statements to the police. I'd really love to know what they said to the police. You can see how close their house and their camera is to Xana's room. So they would have heard everything. And if you remember, everyone, or mostly everyone, decided to go home, all the students. And I think that was important for the students to go to their parents and families. Nobody would want to be in a place where quadruple murder happened. But I kind of think that was kind of wrong too, because the killer could have gone home. Or allegedly anyone else involved could have gone home.
Well, the Moscow Police Department hasn't added any new information since they released a press release this morning about the homicide investigation. But a few hours ago, we did speak with the Latah County coroner. Kathy Mabbitt is calling all four deaths homicides, and that the cause of death is likely a stabbing. But we won't know that for certain until the autopsy report comes back and she can make that official ruling. Now, to take that a step further, Latah County contracts its autopsies out to the Spokane County Medical Examiner. And I confirmed this afternoon that Spokane County is in fact conducting the autopsies on the 4 University of Idaho students. Now, the Spokane County spokesperson says the medical examiner has not yet started those autopsies. Once they are done, the medical examiner will forward her recommended findings to the Latah County coroner. And the Moscow Police Department or the Latah County coroner will release the official ruling. Now, this afternoon, when we talked to the coroner, she described a gruesome crime scene.
Well, there was a lot of blood. It was a very sad scene.
Mabit adds that she does not believe the toxicology report on each of the 4 University of Idaho students will be relevant to the manner or cause of death. Now, Mabit has been the county coroner for 16 years in Latah County. She says in that time there have been at least 2 other multiple homicide scenes that she's been involved in. But she says this current homicide investigation is the only one she's been to where there are 4 people at one scene.
I thought that the toxicological reports would be important in this case. No matter what, it should be important. It should be considered. Just in case the 4 students were poisoned. Or not even poisoned, was given a roofie or a Mickey or something like that, so that they couldn't defend themselves when the murders happen. That has happened many times to people. People can easily get something in their drink. Somebody could have slipped something in their drinks. We know that Xana and Ethan, or at least Xana, was awake. Because she ordered food delivery. Or was something put in their food? Or maybe even in their drinks at the bar. Because we could see, may the rest in peace, how intoxicated Maddie was. And it really makes me think if more people are involved. And the reason I say that is because they clearly took 8 hours to call the police. And on ABC News, Kaylee Congalvis' friend was crying, and she clearly said that she got the call at 10 a.m. And she said, I called Kaylee's phone, she wasn't picking up, and she was crying. We've heard of Kim, one of the students' mother, who said that she heard from her daughter around 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. So everybody seems to have known it, except the police. They weren't called till 11:52 or 54. So what happened? This is for entertainment purpose only. I remember this picture at the beginning. I believe it was the same day that the murders happened. Unfortunately, Jack D., who is Kaylee, his ex-boyfriend, they were together for 5 years. They were high school sweethearts, basically. What I always notice is pay attention to how Jack D looks. And pay attention to his hands. He's tightening his fist, I believe on purpose. He doesn't want to show his hands or his fingers. And if you look at the other hand, I don't know, he has a white glove on, but on this hand that this hand, if you notice, he has band-aid on 2 of his fingers or 3 of his fingers. I've been trying to search for that picture for a very long time, and I think they've taken it out deliberately. It's the same picture as where he's standing with his mother or his aunt. You can clearly see that this is a band-aid. So what did Jack D do to get these injuries? And why was he wearing 3 band-aids on his fingers? On the tip of his fingers. Isn't that strange? If anyone is good in technology, or maybe is a photographer or has experience with zooming in things and check it properly, I would advise you all to do that. Because I remember seeing this clearly the first day, and I saved those pictures. I'll have to search for them. I've been trying for the last couple of days to find those pictures, and it's very difficult. I think they took it out on purpose. So why is his fingers on band-aids? You can see clearly there. I could be wrong, please let me know. And why does his face look so swollen? He's even hiding his eye, if you'll notice. Jack D, what is interesting allegedly is that the girls called you 9 times on the whole. Maddie called you thrice. Kaylee called you 6 times. When they came home. So maybe it was an hour before the murders. You were at the bar, the corner club, with the girls, and when they left, that is the time when Kaylee asked Maddie, what did you tell Adam? And she said, I told Adam everything. Adam was at the bar too. You were standing and talking to the girls in the corner club. What were you talking about? If you know something, you should talk before the trial starts. Because I don't believe Brian Koberger is going to hold back. If anyone else was involved, he's going to talk. Or maybe it wasn't him. Nobody knows what evidence they have on Brian besides a white Honda and the knife sheet. But now his lawyer says that the knife sheet was put there. Anything is possible. But I want to know why Jack D, his fingers, 3 of his fingers have band-aids on. Why does his cheek look so swollen? His eyes look so small. What is he hiding? Hunter Johnson was the one who called 911, allegedly. He was one of the people who called from the surviving roommate's phone. Who called Hunter? Is the question. I believe that Hunter is on the left. So the question is, how often was Hunter in this house? He was practically living in the house. And he told the policeman, the shorter guy said that he doesn't even live there. This is Jack D with his auntie or mother. This time he has his hand in his pocket. That was what I always noticed. His eyes look swollen, but that could be because he was crying, definitely. But I have a lot of questions for Jack D. Because the girls called him 9 times before the murders. And why was it so important for the girls to call him? Because the girls saw him at the corner club. Why would they need to call him within 45 minutes? Is the auntie or mother helping him what to say? Or not to keep his hands in his pocket, allegedly? You can see how far he is from the dog. Looks like they're having a private conversation. This is terrible. I think this is interesting. Somebody, IMC85, said, my theory is someone came back with both girls, or with Zena and Ethan. This, or something was hiding in the house, or someone was hiding in the house until they got home. That's what I believe too, actually. That is why there is no forced entry. They definitely knew this person. They need to look at every person's hands and arms that surrounded both parties that night. If stabbing was the cause of death, then more than likely they injured themselves in the process. Just like I was saying, look at JD. Jack D, why does he have band-aids on? Did he hurt himself in the process? Allegedly. If Ethan put up a fight, then the person has marks. That's exactly what I was thinking. Did the perpetrator take a shower and clean up before leaving out? Question mark. I would dust closets, bathrooms, light switches. I would take the phones of every single person at both parties and go through every one of them. Someone knows something. They need to come forward. Also, if there was a lot of blood, then more than likely it would be on someone's shoes. Is there shoe prints? Did someone take DNA under each victim's nails? Where's all the forensics? And this was at the start. And then, this is interesting. Read what the person says upstairs. The person said, this is another person. My question is, where were they being forced to call Jack? Did someone have a message they wanted to convey to him? Was this a crime of passion in the way of someone thought she belonged to him and wanted her boyfriend to know it? Very possible. It's a very good question. Could somebody have been calling Jack from Maddie and Kaylees' home? That's very possible. These are the neighbors of the victims. Pay attention to the girl on the left. How she's okay. I think they're discussing about what they heard that night. It's impossible that nobody heard anything. I'm sure they're scared for their lives. I don't blame them. I believe somebody tried using the ladder. It's kind of strange that the ladder is right under Xana's room. That would have been easy access while the delivery was delivering the food to Xana. Brian allegedly, or the murderer, could have been hiding on the side near the ladder, and as soon as they tried to go upstairs, he could have, if the window was open, he could have just got in. And allegedly, it said that he was parked there, behind the house. Or that's where he came, that's where he drove in from. Why were the girls calling Jack D? Is the million-dollar question. And why didn't they call the police immediately? They found the diamond shoe print. They found 2 male DNAs in the house, I believe. But it could have been from previous times. 2 unknown, unspecific DNAs. Jack D and his aunt or mother came to pick up the dog. But what was strange is Jack D had his hand in his pocket all the time, and when he took it out, I think it's that hand, there are 3 band-aids on his fingers. And this is right after the murders. And it was him that the girls kept on calling that day.